Hi James, thanks for joining us here. It's good to be at the Rothamsted trial plots for the cereals event. Rothamsted obviously one of the longest running agricultural research centre, so no doubt you've got loads of projects underway at the moment. Specifically, what can people see at the trial plots here at Cereals?
Well, for cereals is one of the highlights of the year for the Rothamsted scientists, particularly those who are obviously working on cereal crops. One of our biggest projects is called Designing Future Wheat, which we do in conjunction with the John Innes Centre. And that is basically to try and identify traits that may be useful in future breeding, identify them fast and get them into the breeders as fast as possible. Now we do that by using a range of techniques at Rothamsted, where we use robotics, for instance, to actually watch wheat growing 24/7, pick up exactly how it's beginning to come out of the ground, when you're getting heads and leaves forming, and then identifying those traits early on, mapping them to the genetics of the plant and moving that into breeding traits so that we can accelerate the process of creating future strains of wheat as fast as possible. And that's really important because obviously with climate change, we're going to be looking for far more resilient varieties, things that can withstand heat. We're going to have increasing problems with new pests coming in, and we're going to have to find varieties that can cope with that. So it's really important that we map out those traits, identify what is driving them genetically, and move that into breeding as fast as we possibly can. One of the things we've got on site, we've got some of the wheat lines we're working on here. We've also got some ancient lines of wheat, your emmer, your einkorn, your spelt, things that wheat originally came from when it came from the Fertile Crescent, way back when farming started. We need to go back to those old varieties to try and identify traits, useful genetics that we can use in modern varieties so that we can incorporate that into modern wheats and make sure that when we go into the future, wheat will continue to deliver the yields that we need without us having to raise the inputs that we're going to need in farming.
And Cereals obviously gives you an opportunity to not only showcase these trials that you're running, but also have a face-to-face with the end user and find out what their needs are going to be.
Well, that's really important for our scientists. They really want to meet with farmers and dialogue with them. It's important for us to tell farmers what we're working on and other people in the industry. This is publicly funded research. It's open source, most of it. So, it's given to the breeders essentially free of charge so that we can accelerate that process. But it's equally important that we learn from the farmers and the industry people coming here, because that drives our science in the future and it enables us to design research programs that are going to deliver for farming in general and make sure that what we do actually has maximum impact for agriculture in this country.
For cereals kind of in general, what do you think is so important about an event like this and being able to come and see not just the trial plots but the new technologies, I guess, coming through as well?
For us, it is about that exchange of knowledge between farmers and scientists. It's great that we actually have things growing in the ground here because that makes a huge difference. You can actually see what we're talking about. We're going to be here talking about take-all, for instance. Our team working on take-all will be here, talking about the latest research and how we can control that. We're talking about blackgrass, again, a huge problem at the moment, increasing resistance. We've been working on trying to map that and find different ways of addressing the resistance of blackgrass. You'll be learning more about that. We've got some of our wildflower plots here. We're looking at various ways we can basically incorporate these agroecological techniques into farming. What do they deliver? Are they cost effective? How much are wildflower strips actually useful? Do they work? How much of your land would it be economic to give up? We'll have our experts here talking about that, and we've got barley as well. So there's going to be a range of things. The best thing, though, will be that you'll actually get to talk to the experts directly. These are scientists working at the cutting edge of wheat breeding technology and in disease control. So they'll be able to give you insights into what we'll be able to do in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, and where the science is leading us on that. And equally, they'll be learning from the farmers about what are the things that concern them now and whether we can respond to that and how quickly we can design research programs to actually deliver.
And just finally, on the point of developing wheat varieties to deal with future issues, obviously we're seeing some of that now with very mild, very dry winter. What challenges have you seen on your trial plots?
As you know, one of the big problems with wheat is it doesn't like really hot nights. And we can be sure that we're going to get a lot more of those. So we are going to have to start trying to identify genetic traits that can enable wheat to cope with that. So that's going to be a priority. Climate change, obviously, is the big issue that's going to be confronting all of farming. What will happen, of course, we know it's likely that temperatures are going to be higher, but in terms of extreme weather events, we're not sure yet what will happen. We're obviously going to have to deal with more variable patterns of rainfall and water delivery. So do we need drought tolerant species? All of that needs to be taken into account as we identify new traits. The advantage of designing future wheat is looking across the wheat genome and across the various traits so that we can actually map what does what, identify where that sits genetically, and then roll that out into new wheat breeds as fast as we possibly can.